I think that human nature and female human nature in particular lends itself to that. And I have conversations with this with my customers, my coaches, women that I work with on the regular who are like, well, I don't know if I want to start that day because I don't know if I can then be perfect, or what happens if I have that off day, and then what happens? I'm like, you mean you're human? Oh, okay. And how do we get people to understand that all of that is just part of the greater process?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I could talk about this all day long. So I'm so excited about this. Please write this down, friends. You're always being guided. You're always being guided. There's always something you're learning. I have a belief that's guided me from 2011 when I really started my journey in this world of possibility to this point. And I didn't learn this at that time, but I kind of had a feeling about this. And it was, life is always happening for you and not to you. No matter what, life is always happening for you. And so that comes with every failure, that comes with every mistake, that comes with every time that you're not perfect on your nutrition plan or whatever it is. So way, way, way back, 2011. So this is 10 years ago. I got my corporate job, right? So I am 31 at the time of this recording, and I got a corporate job. And I went to that corporate job and I was so excited about the possibility of that. I wanted to change my family's finances, right? I just wanted to make more money because we were $92,000 in debt at the time. And it was crazy. And people see the business now. They see the achievements we've had and the income and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, must be nice. But we don't see the 10-year journey. And so back then it was like, I just wanted to make more money. That was my only ambition, but I was miserable. I was working 85 hours a week in an environment that I absolutely hated. And I started to become negative, and it was just so draining and so toxic. And that in itself was one of the biggest mistakes that I ever went through, or failures that I ever had, is staying in a job that just made me feel less than and made me feel miserable. And I needed to, because I needed to put a roof over my head. I needed to eat and all those things. But then I found online business, and that was the ticket. I was like, oh my gosh, let's go. So excited. I saw all the possibilities of hope and big dreams. And, Julie was one of my early inspirations. You were one of my early inspirations in this. And I was like, let's freaking go. But it was interesting. On this path to creating my business, I was doing the things, but it felt like nothing was working. It was like, it wasn't growing, and I didn't know why. And I was trying so hard. I was doing all the skills, the tactics. I was like, what was I missing? And I started to get in my head. I started to feel really frustrated. And I was talking to my mentor, her name's Jessie. And I was telling her how, like, what's going on? Like, I'm really doing this. And she's like, Brad, you need a mindset coach. You need someone to coach you on how to think, because the way that you're thinking right now isn't going to get you where you want to go. And so all of this, I want to point out, all of this failure for a couple of years was leading to this point where I had an aha moment that I needed a mindset coach. And this was in 2015. Okay. And then,
let me ask you this before you go any further. Was there any point in time when you're in this journey and you're in debt and you're doing this job and you don't love the job, whatever, is there any point in time that you thought to yourself, okay, but this is fine? And I can, this is like, okay, I mean, I'm making some money and I'm providing for, like, this is fine. This is fine. Was there any point in time you had that?
Maybe that is something that by societal norms is like pretty typical. But for me, I always knew I was meant for something more.
Right.
I always knew that I was meant for something big. I always knew that there was something massive out there. And I think that one of the reasons why a lot of people say, oh, this is fine, this is okay, is because they're afraid to want something more.
Yes.
They're afraid to want a grand ambition in their life. And no judgment if you're afraid of it, but you got to ask yourself, is fine what you really want?
Yes.
And chances are it's not. What I want is extraordinary. I want amazing. I want outstanding. I want just above and beyond, like, the mindset of and. A lot of people say I can be a great business owner or a great mom. I can have a lot of money, or I can be present with my kids. No, it's and. You can do this and that. You can be a great business owner and a wonderful mother and a wonderful spouse, whatever it is. You can do both. And it's a way of thinking that I've always had that's been very different from most of society. And I really pride myself on this, but I've always looked at what most of society is doing and I sprint the other way. Because if you take a look at what most of society is doing, most of society is upset, miserable, settling, broke, overweight, feeling exhausted, and victimized. That's what average is these days. And so this is fine is a recipe for average. And I was like, I don't want that. So that's why I was always like, let's go, let's figure this out. And even though I got hit with these failures along the way and it hurt like crazy, I don't know if it was high school football. I don't know if it was what it was. I don't know if it was my dad. I don't know where it came from. But there was always this piece of me that was like, no, there's more. There's more. And I bet every single person listening here, whether you have that ambition automatically or if it's something where it's just embedded in you, it's the best version of you. Every single person here knows they are meant for more, or they would not be listening to a podcast like this.